Hello ninjas, how's it going everyone? You all keeping well? Ready to do some Pokemon today? So Blake 9 Infamous says that there's an update to this game. It's got like a snail trail. That is very cool. Whoa. Might have to turn this down a little bit. Okay, there we go. Uh-oh. Oh no. Okay, I remember this. You've got to kind of fall off and then jump. Yeah, that's the way. Oh yeah, how are we gonna... Huh! Okay. There we go. Gotta get up here. There we go, there we go. Ooh, I think you've remixed some of the level layouts as well, Blake. Oh, no. Okay, let's try and go up here. Oh, no. You want me to reload it? That's okay. I think that's fine, Blake. Oh no, this level is going to completely defeat me. Alright, it's got to be a way, it's got to be a way. If I go to the right first. Maybe if I wait all the way over here for it to become low enough, I might be able to jump on it. Yeah, that's the way. Okay. Probably the same thing. Oh! Yeah, there we go. Be careful not to fall in this lava. Gently does it. Gently does it. Did another sound one of scratches. Sorry, Blake. What do you mean? Oh! Oh no. Oh no. Well, we're going to be doing a Pokemon game today. I always start the stream off by playing some games that the ninjas have played. Oh, I just keep dying here. Sorry, I always start the stream off by playing some games the ninjas have made. So yeah, are you guys excited to make some Pokemon games today? Oh, this is going to fill me full of rage. Come on! Oh no. Alright. Maybe. We always give it a bit of time, just to make sure that everyone can get into the stream. So we just do this, just for the first section, before we get into our tutorial. Okay, that's the way. What? No way. Okay, I think I'm dead here. Okay, got to get up there first. And then we've got to get up there, and then we've got to jump on top of the... Well. There we go. And there we are. Well done, Blake. Very cool. That Snail Trail is an interesting one. There's a bunch of games on Scratch that work like Snake. They're like Snake. If you've ever played the game Snake, where you leave behind a trail and you can't hit the same trail that you've left behind. Yeah. So that's one that we could do in the future. That's a possibility. All right. Well. Looks like... So, what I'll do is... we might make a start in just a minute or so. There's nothing particularly... If anyone's new in chat, it looks like a quiet one today. And that's fine. But if anyone is new in chat, or if you come along a bit later, let me know if you need me to slow down with anything. Otherwise, we might make a bit of a start. So what I'll do is I'll show you our Pokemon game so far. So we've got 2 different modes for the game to be in. That's maintained with this GameState. And as you walk around the world, in the GameState world, what can happen is you can go into the GameState battle, which changes kind of how the game works. And we probably won't even get to the battle mode too much, but we'll probably just have just enough just to make it so that we have these 2 different game states that you can change between. That you can be in the battle game state, and you can also be in the world game state. And we'll just probably put together some code that makes all that work. Pen show at the end? Sure, we can do the pen show at the end, Blake, no problems. So, as always, if possible, try and watch this on 2 screens. Have one with the stream setup and one with you doing your coding. And be cool in chat. Was talking with Mezietti earlier through Scratch about latency. And so we have latency set up in the streams so that it can still be a nice quality, and so that if you're watching this live, you can it's less likely to make you lag. So we could try lowering the latency so that it's a bit easier for us to communicate in chat, because currently everything's on a delay. And that means that if you type something into chat, I get that and I react to it. And the problem is that you don't get this until sometime later. I think I was counting it earlier, and it was about 30 seconds, which is quite a lot of time. So we could try and lower the latency, although that might create problems with people losing the stream while it's live, and it might also create problems with the quality having to go down, which can make it hard to read the code. Okay, so pen show at the end, not just any parts. Hey, how's it going, Falcon, FabLab, Coder Dojo? Nice to have you back. Hope you've been keeping well. We'll just give it another minute or so. I usually wait until about 3:40 just in case there's a few more people, just getting themselves set up tech-wise. Yesterday was pretty funny. Mezietti was saying, I've got to get my laptop. And we were all joking in chat about how we imagined them running around the house looking to set themselves up. But that was good fun. Alrighty. So what we'll do is, so everyone here knows how to get to the Scratch online website, but sing out in chat if you don't know how that works. Actually, I'll just say it while we're waiting for people to arrive. You go to Google, you type in the word Scratch. You've got to spell it correctly, like I didn't, and then you click on the first option there, and then you click on Create here. And this is what you'll get. And hopefully everyone here has used Scratch before. Hopefully everyone has used Scratch before. Oh, let's sign me out. Let's sign in again. If you haven't, just let me know. So, we need to, today, try and just program 2 things to work. We need to program the character in the world state of our Pokemon game, like this, to be able to walk around. we need to program these trees, which if you've played a Pokemon game or like a Final Fantasy game are like the bushes, where if you walk into them, you can trigger a battle. And we need to calculate what happens. We need to like plan what happens to go into the battle mode. So we'll see how far we get with all of this. It might depend. So if everyone gets their new Scratch project opened and ready, give it a name. So you can call it, RPG, which stands for role-playing game, which is kind of like, Final Fantasy games and that kind of thing. Or you can just call it Pokemon, whatever you like. Also, the thing that I completely forgot to mention, I have to give massive props to UJ, which I think some of you guys who have been coming to City of Swan Coda Dojos, you've met him. And he's a mentor at the Coda Dojo. He put together this RPG game and sent it through to me, and I have adapted it a little bit because his coding is quite sophisticated. I've made it a little bit simpler, so it'll be a bit easier for you to follow along. But massive thanks to UJ for doing that. Really appreciate it. And he usually watches these, so thank you, UJ. All right. So we've got our Scratch project. Just everyone hit share there, just to make sure that your project is shared. And if you need any help, write into chat. Give me a reminder of what your Scratch name is, so I can look you up. And also just make sure that you go File, Save Now. Okay. And what I'll do as well is I'll just put a link into chat. I'll try and save this as I go. It should also auto-save as it goes, so that if you need to, you can look this up if you get a bit stuck. But otherwise, I'm happy to look you up on Scratch as long as you've got it published so that I can find you and see you. And I'm happy to look at the code if you've got any problems. All right, let's make a start. So first things first, let's set up the sprites that we need. So we're going to need a sprite for the player world. So remember, we're going to have two different states. I should ask, have you guys played either Pokemon or like Final Fantasy or a game like that before? Feel free to, write into chat for me. Because the way that this works is that we're going to have these two states. One where you're walking around as a small character on a map, and that can take you through to the battle state where you have you've got like tactical turns of choices that you decide what you're going to do each turn, and you have an opponent, and it sort of has to figure out who wins the battle. And then once you either win or lose, you go back out to the world state. So we need a player for our world. Now I'm just going to stick with the cat for now. But you guys can choose whatever you like. So the other things that we're going to need are, we are going to need to create a new sprite for the tree. So on the bottom right corner, click on the cat face to choose a new sprite. Type in tree. And you can choose, I quite like this one actually. I'm going to choose this one. And then what you need to do is we need to add another sprite for player battle. I'm going to use the cat again. So we need to call this player battle. We need to create a sprite for the enemy that we face in the battle. And I quite liked, I forget what the name of the character is. Yes, Terra. I quite liked Terra. Terra looks like a Pokemon to me. And for now, that will be enough for now. Let's just leave it there. So what we need to do is let's move some of these sprites just off to the side, and let's put some code into player world. Okay, so let's do some code for moving around. So we've probably done this a bit before, so you can let me know if you get stuck. So first thing we need to do is we need to go to events, the yellowy category on the left. Click on that, grab when green flag clicked, drag that out. So we're going to be putting stuff on our world map, like trees, and we want our player to always be on top of those. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to go to looks, the sort of dark purple category on the left, and we're going to grab go to front layer. Okay, so we want to go to front layer. Now we're going to have this character rotating to look around, and if you've done this before, you'll know that if we have this character spin around, we need to make sure that they don't turn upside down. So what we need to do is we need to set rotation style. So we need to go to motion, the dark blue category in the top left. We need to grab set rotation style, left, right. Grab that and put that as the second thing. This means that the character will always be either looking left, and then it will mirror to the right like this. It won't end up trying to go upside down or anything like that as we turn this character around. Okay, and then we might as well give them a starting position when the game starts. So let's grab a go-to, and you can set your starting position any way you like. I'm just going to set it at in the middle of the game, 0 and 0. And let's make this character a bit smaller. So you can put this in the code if you like, or you can just click on where it says size, and yeah, I think 50 should do it. Yeah, let's try 50. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to code in our movement. And before we code in our movement, we're going to set movement to a variable. And the reason that we're going to do this is that it's going to make it easier for us to go back and change things and not have to rewrite a bunch of code if we have our speed, the speed at which our character moves, tied up in a variable. It just basically saves us some effort in the future if we ever want to change this. And this is the kind of game that you can customize it to whatever you like. So all of these sprites, you can absolutely just change what these sprites look like later. If you want to do a different style of game, if you want to have like more of a Final Fantasy theme to the game, you can get sprites from the internet, or you can make some of your own, whatever you like. So first of all, we need to make a variable. So click on the dark orange category on the left, variables, and then the top left corner, we're going to click on make a variable. And this variable is going to be called steps. And this is because when we do movement in Scratch, it refers to them as steps. I actually think it ties to pixels in the game, I'm pretty sure, because, yeah, I'm pretty sure that it's actually calculating pixels in the game, in the Scratch game. So we're going to grab a set variable, and we're going to set the steps variable to 5. 5 seems like a good speed, and the brilliant thing is that you can change this at any time by changing this one number here, where it says set steps to 5, if you want to change the speed later. All right, so next thing that we need to do is we need to go to events, the yellow category on the left, and we need to control, the one just beneath it, and grab a forever loop. Grab this forever loop and put that underneath set steps to 5. And then what we need to do is we're going to get an if, then, else. We use a lot of if-thens, but we don't often have if, then, else in some of the code that I've done before. So if, then, else will specifically do one thing if the if is true, and specifically do a different thing if the if is not true. Okay? So what are we going to do? We're going to make another variable to keep track of if we are in the if our game is in the world mode or the battle mode. Okay? And so what we're going to do is we're going to go back to variables. We're going to click in the top left corner, make a variable. This needs to be for all sprites. And this variable is going to be called GameState. All right, so now we've got a new variable called GameState. Once we've got that variable, just drag out one of these, the little round GameState variable code lines. Okay? We'll need it later, because we're going to ask this question in this if, and the question is if GameState equals world. All right? So now what we're going to do is we're going to go to operators. We're going to get a something equals something. And we're going to put that inside. So it starts off as something equals 50, but we're going to change that. We're going to put that inside the if. And then we're going to grab this game state and put it inside the first socket inside that operator. We're going to click on the 50, and we're going to say world. So, if game state equals world. And then what we're going to do is we're going to go to looks. We're going to grab a hide, and we're going to put it underneath where it says else. So, if the game state is not the world game state, then this player character is going to hide itself. Okay, so the other thing that we need to do is we're going to do this nice and organized. We're going to go to My Blocks. So that's the red category in the middle of the left part of the screen. I'm going to click on Make a Block. And we're going to call this block Control Player. Awesome. Control player. Drag this define control player off to the side. Now what we're going to do is we're going to grab the little control player block and put that underneath the if game state equals world. So now you should have code that says if game state equals world, then control player, else hide. So this is my block here, this custom block that we've made, is in programming called a function. It can be called other things as well, but just for the sake of argument, we're just going to call it a function. And it ties up, we can tie up a whole bunch of different stuff underneath control player, and then whenever we use this line, it will do all of that stuff that we put underneath this define control player. Very useful, and this is not going to be the last function that we make in this code. Okay, so what we need to do first of all is we need to make sure that the character is shown. So let's get a show. Because if we've hidden them at some point, we need to make sure that they're shown again when the game state is back to the world game state. And then what we're going to do is we're going to grab an if. So we go to control, we grab an if, and we're going to check to see if a directional arrow is being pressed. Now, have a write into chat. Do you prefer using WASD on your keyboard? Or do you prefer using directional arrows on your keyboard? And then when you've got that in chat, is there a way that we can easily make controls work for both. And if there is a way, what do we need to make it so that there are two different controls that do the same thing? I'll give you a bit of time to write that into chat. Got there eventually. Oh, we've got a cat here. Hello, kitten. We'll see if her purr gets picked up in the microphone like it did, like it did last time. All right. Okay. It's very quiet today. Yes, Blake, it is quiet. But that's all right. That is okay. All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to use an and. Sorry, not an and. What am I talking about? An or. So I don't know if we've covered this in one of our previous sessions, but if you go to operators and look for, there's like a gem shape, then an or, and then another gem shape, grab that out and put that inside the if, we can now do two different controls that do the same thing. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go to sensing, the light blue category on the left, and grab a key pressed. So it will say key space pressed, but we're going to change that. And then what you need to do is you need to put one into the first green gem socket, and then you need to put another one into the second one. So now we've got if key space pressed or key space pressed. So let's change these. Let's make the first one the left arrow. Actually, let's make it the up arrow. And then the other one will be W. So now we've got two different controls that will do the same thing. So what we need to do now is we are going to make our character go up. How do we make our character go up? Write your answers in chat. It's in the dark blue category, motion. I'll make sure I give you a bit more time. I'm going to grab a change Y. Now, we could write in a physical number here, but remember, we have made already a variable that controls how fast our character moves. So we're going to go back to variables. Ah, Ms. Yeti, how's it going? File, save now. Let's see. I'll repost. Oh, it's already there. So if you have a look in chat, Ms. Yeti, if you have a look in chat, you'll see that I've saved the project. So you can just click on that and remix, just so you're doing it at the same time as us. You haven't missed too much so far. We're currently we've made 4 sprites, we've made 2 variables, and we're just doing code that controls our player for the world. So the game is going to look a bit like this. So we're going to have 2 different, because we're making a Pokemon game today, you can walk around, you can get into battles. So we're going to just try getting the character movement working for now. And probably on Thursday, which is part 2, we'll get more into the battle side of things. We'll see how far we get here. All right. So, you're running around for charges again. All right, fair enough. All right, so we've got if key up arrow pressed or key W pressed, then change Y by And let's grab our variable for steps and put that in where it says 10. Okay? So now what we need to do is we're going to create another block. We're going to go to My Blocks, and we're going to click on Make a Block. And this block is going to be called Check for Long Grass. Now, I always call it long grass because Pokemon, originally, it was the long grass. That was where the Pokemon are. You can call it Check for Trees. You can call it Check for Enemy, Check for Monster. But that's basically what we're doing, is we're going to be checking to see if a battle starts. Once we've made define check for long grass, put that over to the side. We're going to put some stuff in that later. But what we need to do is we need to move check for long grass into our if. Okay? This is an interesting point, actually, that UJ was mentioning to me. In programming, when you make a function, try to call that function like an action. So my temptation would be to call this particular function, this particular my block, long grass. But generally it's better to say what it does. Not so we've got defined control player. What does it do? It controls the player. We've got define check for long grass. What does it do? It checks for the long grass. So yeah, try and name your functions for what they do. Okay. Are you ready to go, Mezietti? Good. I'll click save. You should be good to remix the project we've got. Loading screen, Mezietti, loading screen. That's all right. Don't worry. I'll keep saving this. So once you get in, you can just click on that link. That's earlier in the chat. Just scroll up. You'll see that I've posted a link. You'll be able to remix that project. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we are going to right-click on this if, the one that's underneath define control player. I haven't missed anything? No, not yet. Actually, before we do that, let's put one more thing in. Now, there's different ways that we can do this, but I'm just going to grab next costume and put that inside our if as well. Let me zoom in on this. I thought about maybe bringing this up later, but I don't. But it makes sense to bring it up now. So we should have inside this if 3 different things: change Y by steps, check for long grass, and next costume. And if we test this, although we can't test it because it makes our character disappear, later on when we test it, we can see if this all works. So what we're going to do now is we are going to duplicate this if, okay? Oh, is the welcome sign still up? Oh, no. Oh, dear, that's embarrassing. All right, let's get rid of you. The Coda Dojo will be starting soon. Goodness me. It started some time ago, Jonathan, and you forgot to take down the welcome sign. Well, why didn't you warn me earlier, Blake? You didn't warn me this time. Didn't warn me about the sign. Blake. You could have saved me from having that up for so long. All right, back to it, guys, back to it. We're going to right-click on this if. We're going to duplicate. Now, it's very important that you put it directly underneath the other if. Don't have it sucked up inside our first if. We need to make sure it's nice and just in a nice line. So one happens and then the next one happens. This one is not inside the one before it. What we're going to do now is we're going to make it so that we go down instead. So let's change the first key in our second if to be down arrow, and the one after that to be S. Blake, I trusted you. How could you forget to remind me? I'm joking. I appreciate it, Blake. Thank you very much. Everyone's usually very diligent about reminding me about to take down the sign, but this time we forgot. That's okay. That's all right. So we've got now here we have a problem changing y. We need to find a way to put a minus in front of these steps. Now this might not make a lot of sense, but there is a way of doing this. We're going to need to go to operators. We're going to need to get a something minus something. We need to put that inside our second if. We need to get steps and put it in the second socket of our minus and have 0. So we're going to change y by 0 minus steps. So it's going to work out at -5. So hopefully that makes sense. Hopefully that's not too confusing. So we've got our up and down working. Now what we can do, logged in. Good job, Ms. Yeti. All right, save now. Let me repost the link for you. So you can remix this one. There we go, typed it into chat, just in case the latency is bad today. I was just saying earlier, I've been considering changing the latency, but it might create some problems for people losing power, losing the stream, like create lag for people who are on slow internet connections. So unfortunately, the latency might have to stay for now, but I'll tinker around with it. We'll see how we go. Okay, so what we need to do now is we need to make left and right. So let's make this nice and easy for ourselves. Let's right-click on the first if, right-click, then normal-click on duplicate, then put this on the very bottom. Again, make sure it's not sucked inside one of the first two ifs. And now we've got all of our 4, and all we need to do is change the controls so that we've got a left arrow and a A. And then we need to make sure that we are changing X, not Y. I think everyone here has used Scratch before, so you guys all understand the difference between X and Y. But changing X positively will make the character go right, negatively will go left, and then changing Y positively will make them go up, and Y negatively will make them go down. It's a little confusing if you haven't used it before, but I think everyone here is pretty familiar by now with the coordinates in Scratch. So then what we need to do is we need to make sure that we've updated our second 2 controls in Scratch. I'm not going to give you the step-by-step of all of this because it should be fairly obvious. If anyone has any problems, you let me know. Right arrow and D makes the character go right. Make sure that that's all working correctly. And remember, if you want to make it go minus, just get a 0 minus steps to make that happen. All right, so we've got our controls now. So what we need to do is we need to make sure that when the game starts, we set the game state to the world game state. So let's do that now. Let's go to variables. Well, we can do this in the player sprite. And we're going to get a set variable to. We're going to get set, and we're going to change the variable to be game state. And we're going to call it world. Now you've got to make sure, we're going to put this right underneath when green flag clicked, okay? Now, you need to make sure that world is spelled exactly the same way as you spelt it in your forever if GameState equals world code right underneath. So make sure that you've spelt world the same way. I don't think, I think we looked at this yesterday. It's not case sensitive, but probably keep it the same capitals anyway, because that's just good practice. Okay. So now let's test it. All right. Nice and simple. We've got our character walking around. There's one thing we need to do. We need to make it so that they change directions. That's nice and easy. We've already set the rotation style to left and right. So let's go to motion, and let's get a point in direction. And we only need to get 2 of these, point in direction, and I'll just grab another one, just put it off over here. We only need 2 of these because they only happen when we're going left or right. We don't change our direction if we're going up or down. So grab one of those, put it underneath if the left arrow pressed, and grab one of those and put it under if right arrow pressed. And then click on that 90 and make sure that, so you can type this in the number if you know how the angles work already, the degrees. Otherwise, there's this really handy little wheel here. If you just click on the 90, you'll see this wheel comes up, and you can just decide what direction you want it is. So make sure that left is pointing to the left side, and right should already be pointing the right direction. So let's give that a test now. There we go. That's looking good. Excellent. All right. So, how's everyone going? Everyone all keeping up? I'll give you guys just a breather, just to make sure that you're all caught up. I think Mezzjetti's just finishing up the moving parts. I've been saving this, so hopefully you have a fairly up-to-date version of it. What we are going to need to do now is we are going to need to put some code in our check for long grass code. Let check for long grass function. Alrighty. Okay, so Mezzjetti, make sure that you publish. You shared it? Good. Aha! Pokemon Remix. There you are. Alright, so let's have a look inside. Oh, so there's only one thing. So there's one thing you need to do. You need to put in set GameState to world right underneath when green flag clicked. Because we have this variable called GameState, and that's going to track if we're in a battle or if we're wandering around the world, just like Pokemon or Final Fantasy, okay? That you have these 2 different screens. So, yeah. Aside from that, everything looks perfect. So as long as you put in that one line, set GameState to world, Mezzjetti, you should be all good. All right, I'll just make sure that you guys are all nicely caught up. And then, once that's done, we should be ready for checking the long grass. Just going to arrange this so it's... There we go. So this should be pretty simple. What we're going to do is we are going to go to events. We're going to get an if, and So we're going to do this in a simple way. There are better ways of doing this, but we're going to choose the simple way. We're going to just go if touching trees. Okay. I've just called these. I'm going to continue to call these trees. You can call them whatever you like. Hello, kitten. Come to say hello to all the ninjas, have you? All right. So what we need to do is we have an if touching trees. So we go to sensing. We grab the first thing there, which is touching. Touching, it's going to say touching mouse pointer, but we don't care if the character's touching the mouse pointer. We care if they're touching the trees. So update that for us. And then what we're going to do is we're going to put in a random number generator. Again, there are more sophisticated ways of doing this, but I'll show you this way, and then we can talk a little bit about other possible ways of doing it. Yes, we have some cat emojis in chat in honor of our stream cat. So what we're going to do is we did a random number generator for what's it called? Breakout yesterday. We're going to do a slightly better way of doing it this time round. So we're going to grab a, let's say less than. Let's grab a less than. So less than is the arrow that is pointing towards the left, so towards the empty of the two slots. You have the empty slot and then 50. We're going to change this anyway. All right. So what we're going to do now is we're going to grab a pick random. Now, yesterday, we did a very, what's the word? We did a very small range of random numbers. We did like a 1 to 3 or a 1 to 4. Let's do something much more interesting than that. Let's go pick random 1 to 300. So if pick random 1 to 300 is less than, I'm going to say less than 3. And then what we're going to do is we are going to go back to our variables, because we are going to set the game state. Set variable to, we want to set game state to battle. So we're going to have these two different game states so far, world and battle. So let's test this. Now, not a lot's going to happen because we haven't programmed in the battle code yet, but if you walk up to the tree, you should be able to walk up to it, and then after a certain point, your character will disappear. So this code here, if you've played Pokemon, the way that it works is when you walk through the long grass, it's somewhat randomized when you run into Pokemon, right? So we've done a truly random number, which is basically a 2 in 300 chance. So so you could change these numbers to change the probability of running into a Pokemon battle, right? You could make it so that Pokemon battles don't happen as often. You have to walk the long grass for longer by basically making the pick random numbers a wider number. So like you could say 1 to 500 or 1 to 1,000. The reason that we can also set this as such a low probability is that it's performing this check every time we walk for each pixel for like it's checking multiple times a second. I don't know exactly how many times. A lot of video games will check things 30 times a second. So, and I forget exactly how fast Scratch checks things. Sometimes it's tied to the frame rate of your game, which is commonly 30 in older games and 60 in newer games. Pretty sure I got that right. So that's why we are saying pick a random number between 1 and 300, and only if it's less than 3, so if it's 2 or 1, only then do you go to battle. Because that's not very likely, but that doesn't matter because it's being checked so often that it's fine. Now, there's more sophisticated ways you could do this, because this way, this way is going to run into some problems because sometimes you're just going to run into battles like almost immediately. 32 checks a second, Ms. Yeti? Yeah, that seems reasonable. So sometimes you're going to run into problems whereby you get out of one battle and then you walk like one step and then immediately get another one. Because even though that's unlikely, it's going to happen every so often because it's random, it's chaotic. You could have a counter that kept track of how long you'd been walking without a battle that slowly filled up. And then after a certain amount of time, with a certain degree of randomness, then the battle starts. To do that, you'd use a variable. I've just given you something simple, but it's something to think about. A lot of the games, when you're playing games, I love playing games, I'm sure you guys like playing games as well. When you're playing games, sometimes if something frustrates you or annoys you, think about how you could improve it. Think about how you could have made it better. And also think about how it was programmed. Because it seems like, programming my own Pokemon game, that would be so hard, that would be so complicated. But a lot of the way that the game works is often quite simple, and you already know a lot about how variables work and that kind of thing. Anyway, so that's just wanted to talk a little bit about different ways that we could check for long grass. So again, one thing as well, with functions, the advantage of functions, not only do they make it easier to see what our code does, so, this function define control player makes it really easy to see, oh man, this is what all this code does. Whoops, didn't mean to do that. So if you're looking back at your code going, man, what does this code do? What does this code do? If it's all just in one long list and you can't figure it out, having it broken up with these functions, these my blocks, makes it a lot easier to figure out what it all does. What's up? But the other thing that's really useful about using my blocks, using functions, is you can do it multiple times. So look at this code. If touching trees, don't eat the microphone, kitten. If you have this check for long grass code, so in this there's 3 lines? If touching trees, if pick random, set game state. There's 3 lines there. Just imagine if we copy-pasted that 4 different times. That's really inefficient. It's really messy. It makes the code longer. It makes the code harder to read. But by having this check for long grass, we only had to write it once. And then each time we refer to check for long grass, and we can refer to it as many times as we want to in our code, it runs it. If you can avoid copy-pasting your code, you always should. Because your code will run better, with less glitches, less lag, it will run faster, but more importantly, it's much easier for you to manage. Because if we copied this, all these ifs and everything, and pasted it 4 different times underneath each of these if this arrow pressed, if that arrow pressed, and you want to make a change, you want to change something about it, you have to change it 4 times. Whereas this way, you only have to change it once. So with programming, there's an old saying where try and be a lazy programmer. Try and set yourself up to not have to do too much work in the future. Make your programming right, and then it's easier to fix, it's easier to work on, it's easier to continue. All right, so that was a little bit of a discussion of why we've done things a certain way. Let's have a quick look at chat. You know a trick, Mezzietti. You doubled it to 64, then to 3,200. That's impressive. Did you use turbo mode to do that? To make these checks happen more often? All right, so what we're going to do is we probably have just enough time to make a little grid of trees. Let's see if we see how easy this is. So we're going to do some fairly we're going to make some code very similar to the code that we use to make our bricks. No, we're not going to have enough time to do this code. I'm just looking at it. We'll do this code on Thursday when we do part 2 of Pokemon. What we can do, though, is we can get some of our other characters to only appear when we're in battle mode. Okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to put code into the trees where they only appear in the world mode. So nice and simple. Let's click on the trees sprite. Click on when green flag clicked. Right, I see. Just looking at chat, you can do the without refresh blocks. Right, yes, to do everything twice in one frame, which doubles it to 64. It's a good idea. It's a good idea, yes. I did pick random 1. Blake, you did pick random 1 to 10,000, less than 100. That probably works out okay, actually. That probably works out okay. All right, so we're going to put some code in some of the other elements of our game to make them hide themselves when they are not needed. So we've got when green flag clicked. Let's grab an if. First, we need a forever. Underneath that, this all needs to go in the trees sprite. Then we need an if, then else. So put in the if, then else. Let's grab a operator. The something equals something. Let's go to variables and grab GameState equals world. Let's get a show and a hide. So, nice and simple. When green flag clicked, forever. If GameState equals world, then show, else hide. Once we start generating clones of the trees, we'll have to change this code up a little bit. But for now, this will work, just for part 1. So I'll make this nice and big so you guys can see it, because I know I did that a bit quick. Once you're done with this, we're going to do something very cool. Copy-pasting, basically. We're going to drag this whole piece of code over to the other sprites. Make sure you drop it so that your mouse is right on the sprite. We're going to drag it to the player battle. We're going to drag it to your enemy. My enemy is still called Terra. I'm going to call it enemy. So now, there should be this code inside player battle and enemy. What you need to do, though, is you need to make sure that you change the if statement to be if GameState equals battle. Make sure you spell it the same way as you do in your other code. And then let's give that a test. So, nice. So you can see we've got our character that can walk around. If we walk over to the tree and walk up and down it a little bit, eventually it will put us into battle mode. There we go. Battle mode is engaged. We don't have a way of getting out of battle mode just yet, but that's fine. Just one other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put some code in the enemy, in my case it's Terra, to set rotation style to left-right underneath when green flag clicked, and I'm just going to point them the other way. So I'm only doing that in Terra, in the enemy code, just to make sure that they're facing. Yeah, there we go. Look, that's beginning to look like a Pokemon game. You've got your Pokemon there, the enemy Pokemon here. Seems good. All right, so that's part 1 done. How's it? How did everyone go? Is everyone's code doing what mine does? You've got a character that can walk around. If you go and onto the tree, it will eventually start a battle. Might be sooner, might be later. It's all random. It's all chaos. If your code is ready, let me know in Scratch so I can see if you've made any big changes to it. If you've been just following me, that's fine. I'd still like to check out your code. If you've got any other games for me to play, now's the time. I started off playing one of Blake's games, so Ms. Yeti, maybe if you want to suggest one of your games, would love to play it in the last 5-10 minutes before we finish up. How did everyone go? Did that all make sense? Glad to hear it's going well. That's good. Very good. Very good. Let's check out. Check out this one. Yep, slightly different looking tree. Looks good. Hey, cool. Ooh, did Breakout? Should I have a look at that one? Space Breaker. Alrighty. Space Breaker. Single player. Ooh, I like this screen. Oh, wow. Red is bad. Try again. Do I have to... Oh, it's right and left. Oh, this is cool. Better turn this volume down a little bit. I'm afraid of the YouTube police coming for me if we could play copyrighted music. This is very, very cool. I'm assuming there was like some kind of tutorial that you found this on. Let's have a look at some of the code here. Aha. I thought I recognized this from Sonic. Because we've got, lots of stuff going on here. Yeah, you've got like, this version of the game has like momentum built into it. You've got speed of the character, moving left and right. The other thing that I like is the blocks have hit points. You need to hit them twice before they go away. The boundary still. There's really less code than I thought there'd be, which is good. Minimal code is best. If you can do something in less code, that's sophisticated, that's efficient, and that's really a good way of being. Oh man, this momentum is gonna... Alright, let's see if I can... Let's see if I can make it big. I'm curious actually if... The sort of falling snow is a cool effect. Oh yeah, that momentum. It's killing me. Got to be careful. Oh no, too much momentum. If you just hold down, it's so hard to like recover. Ooh, inches. Excellent. Falcon Fab Lab, you put it into you've put your game into the studio. Uh-oh. Blake's Pokemon is ready. Very nice. Alrighty. Huh. Let's go check out Inches. There we go. Let's make sure. Hey, Pokemon! Ooh, got some custom art. Ah, I recognize this Pokemon. Forest. Next map. See inside. Oh, you've done it very differently. Put a spiel. Switch backdrop, go to front layer. Alrighty, well, so yeah, you've done it a bit differently. So if you want to do part 2 on Thursday when we start introducing some of the battle mechanics, I do recommend you try and have a look back at the video and see if you can sort of adapt your code so it's a bit more close to the one that we did together. And that way you'll be nice and prepared for when we start adding in extra things like the game, like we're going to be using the GameState a lot more and that kind of thing. But this is very cool. How many backdrops do we have here? Oh, wow. There's a lot of different backdrops. Very nice. Very nice. All right, awesome. Okay, so Pokemon ready for Infamous. Let's go back to Scratch. Oh wait, one thing first. There we go. And then project page. Huh, there we go. Go to Infamous. Let's have a quick look in here. Oh, Pokemon. I see. I recognize this Pokemon. Who's that Pokemon? All right. Nice, nice. We go up here. Battle. Excellent. See inside. Yep, good, good. Excellent. All right, nice. Very cool. Very nice indeed, Blake. All right. Let's see. Let's check out the Falcon Fab Lab studio. And then that's probably enough for today. Have to pack this up about now. Donut Part 4. Oh, that's tempting, Blake. Let's watch it at the beginning of the next session on Thursday. So Palethorn is my Scratch name. It's the sort of name that I go by on the internet. Let's have a look. See studios. So here's the studios: Futures Lab, Coda Dojo. It's in the studio. Here we go. Cool Trish. Very nice. Excellent. We got that. Yes. Very good. There's just the one thing, and you might have already fixed this, but you'll notice you've got your battle scratch is visible when GameState is world. The opponent is not. So all you need to do, and then you'll notice that when you go into the battle mode, like that, so all you need to do is do a quick little fix. The player battle, it just needs to say if GameState equals battle. Like that. And then you'll notice that you've got your character just there, goes up to a tree, and there we go. Now we've got a nice battle happening. That's the only thing you need to do. That is awesome. Very cool. Yep, I've liked those already. Yep, good. Like that. Very nice. Very nice indeed. All right. Is it a quick one, Blake? Is it a long one? The donut part 4. All right. Let's quickly check it out. Let's have a look-see. Oh wait, it's the alt account. It's alt account, this one, test 23. Donut part 4, you say? All right.
Hello, this is the hotel that I live at. Let me show you my room. This is my room.
Yeah, I'll say yes. I like your room. Okay, thanks.
So let's go to the shop. Okay, I'll be back.
Is he going to come back, Blake? It's going to happen. I wonder if I have to click something. Am I getting trolled? Do I have to press a button? Oh!
Okay, let's go home.
Wow, that's a lot of shopping.
Okay, I'm back home.
To be continued. Yeah, that was great, Blake. Very nice. There's actually quite a lot of sophisticated animations and such that you can use. That's pretty cool for doing these types of series. Yeah, very nice. Very nice indeed. Okay, so thank you everyone for coming. We're going to continue this Pokemon series at least to part 3, which will be next week. So this Thursday is going to be Pokemon part 2. So tune in then. And next week should be a lot of fun. Just to let everyone know, I don't normally talk a lot about COVID and quarantine, but libraries are looking to open soon, but we can only have very few people in them. So we probably won't be doing our Koto Dojos in libraries yet. We're going to keep doing them this way. We're going to keep sort of going to keep doing them online. So in Australia, at least. I think not everyone, I think we've got a few international visitors today, which is nice. In fact, actually, quickly before I go, no, I won't ask where everyone's from. It's important that you remain anonymous online, you guys. Thank you so much for coming, guys. I hope you had fun. I shall see you on Thursday. As always, we do these every Monday, every Tuesday, every Thursday, always at 3:30 p.m. Western Australia time. I look forward to seeing you guys for Pokemon Part 2. As always, leave some comments in the future to let me know what future streams you'd like me to do. If you'd like me to go through anything in particular, if you'd like me to do lessons or tutorials on any particular games you'd like to make. If you can't leave a comment on the YouTube video, then just feel free to message me on Scratch. That's probably the 2 best ways to find me on Scratch. But yeah, until I see you guys on Thursday, stay awesome, be cool to each other, keep safe. We'll see you next time, ninjas.